It's Outside the NBA on Facebook. Ernie Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny Smith, Charles Barkley. You turn on the news these days, and still what's dominating the talk is what went on with the shooting last week. Senator Marco Rubio, Republican from Florida, was on that panel last night. Things got heated. Obviously, there is, as you can tell from the debate, there are no easy answers.
Yeah, they are.
When it comes to this, I mean, but people are not willing to go that route.
Ernie, let me just say this.
I want to know what you think the solution
is. Ernie, I'm a gun guy.
I know you are.
You know I carry guns.
Yeah.
I think, number one, there's no reason for me to have an assault rifle. There's no reason for me to have an assault rifle. I'm not a hunter, but you don't hunt with assault weapons. That's my first thing. There's no reason for people to have assault weapons. If you're in the war, that's a little different, but there's no reason for everyday people to have assault weapons. And secondly, Ernie, if I walk, let's just say I wasn't Charles Barkley. If I walk into a Mercedes dealership, they would ask me everything possible about my finances and things like that. They wouldn't let me just walk into a Mercedes dealership and buy a car. We should do that with guns. If I'm able to buy a gun, they should know every single thing about me. Even if I move from state to state, move from country to country, we can push a button and find out everything about every single person in the world. The notion that we don't know who are getting guns, number one, but also assault weapon is absolutely ridiculous.
Ernie, Kenny and I are from certain areas. There's a lot of areas like this. A lot of people are not talking about the underground market. So let's just say you ban assault rifles and do all that, just going to bring up the underground market. Because kids from neighborhoods, which are doing a lot of killing, they don't go to stores and show their IDs and buy guns. I'm a gun guy too. I also have assault rifles. I hunt, and it was.
What do you use your assault rifle for?
I hunt.
Hunt what?
I hunt wild deer and wild boar, and I'm also a gun enthusiast and a gun collector.
If there were just a way that we said assault rifles are not available to the general public, and I was reading an article written by a trauma surgeon who said the same thing. He has seen what these do, and he says there's no reason for citizens to carry AR-15s, although it is the rifle of choice. You know how many AR-15s are out there? 15 million AR-15s.
Wow.
Owned by Americans.
And you don't hunt with those.
Some do, yes.
Yes, you do.
That would, if you're like I said, I don't want to call people out, I don't want to talk out of turn, but if you're like a legitimate hunter, wouldn't that destroy what you were trying to shoot?
Well, in this country, they haven't had mass killings in Canada or Australia or London or England, rather. You have all of these different comparisons that don't have those kind of laws. So that would be one way to look at it and go, wow, that's interesting. There's been more mass killings in this year than there's been in the last 10 years in a lot of places overseas because they don't have that access. So access does bring differences. When you have access to positive things or negative things, it's going to bring out both. It's going to bring out more positive and more negative. And the access, as Charles was saying, and Shaq, I understand what you're saying as well, but the access, the availability does allow things to happen negatively. And the more access you bring, it doesn't mean it's going to slow it down. It just brings this more access. But what we're saying is that the guns that are being used aren't underground guns. These are guns that are being bought in stores, bought legally, and bought without any kind of jurisdiction to actually figure out if this person is qualified to handle it. And that's what probably needs to be done more than anything else. And if you make it illegal to have it, and if you do not turn it in, it becomes a felony, then people will turn their guns in, and so would you. Because you'll be like, I have other guns, and I will turn this gun in instead of going to jail for it. And that's what it is. And same thing, you have to create a mandate that it doesn't become accessible to people who aren't capable of understanding or using it for the correct way.
I want to say two things. Number one, the notion that we should let teachers carry guns, that's just idiotic. We don't need teachers carrying guns. Secondly, I saw a story on the news last week, and I was in shock when I saw this thing. It's 100% legal, 100% unregulated, excuse me. You could order a gun. They ship it to your house, but it's not put together. And you don't have to have, there's nothing on it. Like they don't do a background check. They don't care who you are. I didn't even know that was a such thing.
Yeah.
But they send a gun to your house.
People build guns all the time, yep.
And it's separated. The guy said it took him like 15 minutes to put it together. They break it up into 3 pieces. He said it came to his house within 48 hours, and he put it together. And I was sitting there like, it's 100% unregulated. And anybody can do it. There's no age limit. There's no age requirement.
And that's the thing that
that's crazy though.
It's crazy, and you hit it on the head. You have to have more. There's a lot of things that you don't. You have to get a car to drive a car. You need a driver's license. And all of these different things. You need a background check in some type of way that is much more regulated because there is too many incidents that affect too many people, and if people don't want to change, then that's their choice. But my voice will say change, because you don't need that weapon in the societal that we live in. You just don't need it.
And I think too, there's this gun show loophole that's there where people can actually buy at a gun show with no background check.
That's crazy.
And I mean, don't we have to do something? I mean, I know it sounds like, what are we possibly going to do? Listen, look at the underground.
But I could kill a deer with a grenade too. Maybe I say, all I need is the little pieces that come after it. So like, you can always use it for an excuse.
But let me just.
But the real purpose of a grenade is to blow up people.
Another law is a lot of states you can go in and buy a rifle right away, but you have to wait a couple of days for handguns. And, I think they need to change that. A rifle, you can go buy a rifle right now and take it home.
All of those laws are just unregulated.
I want to say 2 things. And I live in Arizona, and I can walk in a gun shop, pick out a gun, and I'm out within 5 to 7 to 10 minutes. I've done that a few times. I want to have a gun at different houses I live in. But I don't know, I don't think that's right, but that's just the laws in Arizona. But I want to finish up with this point. The notion that Shaquille O'Neal got kids, Ernie Johnson got kids, Kenny Smith got kids, I got kids. We should not have to worry about our kids getting killed going to school. I mean, that to me, regardless of what anybody thinks or says, the notion that all 4 of us got kids, when you send your kids to school, we should not have to worry about them getting killed. That's what's crazy about this whole scenario.
And look, I understand both sides of this, and the gun lobby and the gun control folks too. But I just think you have to start somewhere. And to me, it starts with these semi-automatic AR-15s, these assault rifles. And I think common sense enters the equation here. If that's a weapon that is the weapon of choice of these mass shooters, we have got to find a way to get those out of people's hands and make it as difficult as possible to get them.
Yes.
I mean, and that's a start. But I mean,
to
just say, well, it's out of hand anyway, good luck,
Well, to say it's out of hand, and
they're going to get him. They're going to get him.
I'm just saying, but to say it's out of hand,
Shaq,
and to say, well, we need to put more on the streets for other civilians to actually protect themselves, doesn't always mean it's the answer. What the president has said is basically he wants to now arm, people who aren't considered themselves or wanted to be armed in terms of teachers. So to say, well, to do this, now we're going to just bring more and going to influx some more into that neighborhood or these neighborhoods isn't the logical choice of thought process of most people. Most people would not think that is, they would say the eradication of it, not the addition of it, would make it better.
But it's going to be quite difficult to eliminate 15 million guns.
Oh, you make a law where Shaquille O'Neal has one in his house and he goes to jail for, you give it in.
Yeah, I
turn it in.
I give it in.
So there's about 14 million of them off the streets right now.
And keep it out of the.
There's 14 million off the streets because 14 million people would say, you know what, I'm not going to jail for a year for just having it.
And keep it out of the hands of people like this kid who did the shooting in Florida, who is in no position to own a gun of any kind.
Ernie, listen, listen. I tell you, me and Shaquille are gun guys, but there's no reason for a 15, 16, 17-year-old guy to have those type of guns. They're like, and I've seen the people who adopted him tell me he had like 10 guns, and one of the stipulations when he moved in, they had to put the gun. I'm like, wait a minute. Why is a 15-year-old, 16-year-old kid got 10 guns, assault weapons, and things like that? That's ridiculous.
And then he said, I saw that same interview, and they said, if you could change it now. No, I couldn't change it because he has the right to get it. Then we have to change that right.
Well, he has the right to get it, but I also have the right to know what's coming in my house.
I think guys, I
have the right to say what's coming in my house too.
Exactly.
I think that as an adult you have that right. Like his father, the guy who adopted him, said, he has that right. Nah.
When you're 15, you ain't got no rights.
You ain't got no rights.
Not in my house.
No. You don't have no rights when you're a little
15.
kid. When you're an adult, you have rights. When you're a little kid, you do what the hell your mom and dad tell you to do.
That is outside the NBA, way outside the NBA on Facebook.